Hello, we're going to make a video. My name's David Morissette. I'm with the ECE department at Lehigh University and also with LTS, Library Technology Services. And in this video, we're going to demonstrate how a user using ece-x2go can connect to the computer Decker and run MATLAB. We're also going to take a look at one or two other things. More specifically, we're going to briefly discuss how the private research directories work and the advantage of using them to store your data. Now, in order to run MATLAB, we're using the ECE. We're going to be going through the ece-x2go server. Now, if you're on campus, you can use MOBA Xterm or some other X client to get to the machine. But if you're off campus, ece-x2go is really the solution because it's going to be a lot faster in terms of getting graphics back. Okay, so I'm assuming that you've done the tutorials for ece-x2go and you're able to log into the ece-x2go server on the ECE Teaching Lab Linux platform. So now that we've got ece-x2go up, we're going to click on the bold text that says ece-x2go. You may have called it something else when you set up your session. So we'll click on that. And you'll see I'm running the Mate desktop here. Actually, let me just go back real quick here. So there's three little lines here. And if you go into Session Preferences, you have the ability to change what desktop you go into. We're going in with the Mate desktop. The XFCE desktop also works if you want to use that. Okay, so I'm going to click on this bold text, ece-x2go, and I'm going in with my test ID. You'll go in with the ID that you were sent when you initially got set up for the ECE Teaching Lab platform. And I'll go ahead and type in my password. And then I'll go ahead and click OK. Now, first time I'm going into the ece-x2go server from this machine with this ID, I'm going to get a message here saying the server is unknown. Basically, this just means that it wants to send me the public half of the encryption key. You won't get this message again until you log in from a different machine with, or into a different machine. And it's going ahead and is connecting. And this can take a second or two. Depends on what's happening. Right now we have a lot of students doing projects, so there's a lot of people using the ece-x2go server. Once you get connected with the ece-x2go server, everything will run just fine. Sometimes it just takes a minute or two to connect because of the usage of the resources on the network. And so we're waiting here for it to connect. And one of the things about the ece-x2go server, once we get connected, is that it's really good at doing what it does, and that's funneling the graphics back to your device. But the ece-x2go server that we'll be logging into here does not have any real programs running on it in terms of you can't run MATLAB, you can't run Cadence or any of that software. Okay, so it returned this screen here, and that's what the Mate desktop looks like. I'm going to actually go ahead and I'm going to expand this to make it full screen, and I'll give it a sec. It'll take a second here for it to resolve itself on the video to go full screen, so we'll wait for that. And okay, great. So next thing we want to do is we want to get a terminal. Now I have a terminal on my desktop here, but I'm going to go into Applications, and I'm going to go down to System Tools, and then I'm going to come on down here to where it says Terminal. There's an XFCE terminal you'll see and a Mate terminal. The item that just says Terminal, that's a GNOME terminal. That happens to be my favorite. You can use whichever terminal you want. Okay, so brought the terminal up here. I'm just going to drag this over in the corner for a second, because what I'm going to do is hold down the Control, the Shift, and hit the plus sign. That's going to make the text bigger, and that's going to be easier for us to see on the video. Okay, as I mentioned, the ece-x2go machine is really a gateway machine that's going to allow the graphics to tunnel back to your device very quickly. So what we need to do is we need to go to a machine, specifically Decker is the one we're going to use. And so how we do that is we use the SSH program, and we type SSH, and then dash capital X. The dash capital X tells the SSH software to tunnel the graphics back to this machine. Then a dash little l, as in little L as in Lima, and then that stands for login ID. And then you type in your login ID. I'm going to type in my test login ID here. And then we'll type in the name of the machine that we're going to, which is decker.cc.lehigh.edu. And then we go ahead and hit enter. Again, going into a machine the first time, it's going to ask us this question. So we're going to type yes, because we do want to get the public half of the encryption key. Next time you log in, you won't get that message. Now I'm getting asked for a passphrase. I have something called secure keys. I don't expect you'll have them. If you do have them, you can go ahead and type in your secure key password. But so I'm going to just hit enter and bypass that. And this is what you'll probably see, something more similar to this. And this is the standard login ID. So I'm going to go ahead and type my password. Okay, and it went ahead and logged me in. Now, to run MATLAB, if you're just running MATLAB to get the GUI, just type in MATLAB and then hit enter. Now, if you type MATLAB and you put an ampersand like that, you can just type MATLAB, but then you don't get your $ prompt back. But if you type MATLAB like that with the ampersand, it'll give you your $ prompt back, so you can continue doing things from the command prompt. Okay, so there's MATLAB. The GUI came up, and that demonstrates getting the GUI up with MATLAB. Okay, so I'm just going to close this. Okay, one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to type the command htop, and this will give you an idea of the processors that are on here and the memory and all that kind of stuff. You'll see that you have processors from 1 to 48. This is a 24-core hyper-threaded machine, so it looks to the operating system like there's 24 processors. You'll also notice down there where it says mem, that's your memory. And you have there's 512 gigabytes of memory on this particular machine. Some of the memory is being used, so there's it's displaying 504 gigabytes of memory. And then if you hit Q, that'll exit you out of here. The other thing that might be of interest is we're going to do a change directory into /local project research, and we'll hit enter. And under here, the research directories will be located. I only have one research directory here at the moment, but there will be other ones. So the one that I have for right now is called parvlab. So we're going to do a change directory into parvlab. Okay, and my ID, you can see there, my test ID. I gave myself a test ID under parvlab just for demonstration purposes. So if I do a change directory into well, actually, let me do this. If I take a look at the permissions, the user ID that matches the directory name has permissions to go into the specific directories. So if I do a change directory into the directory that matches my user ID, and I I'm just going to type touch test, and you'll see there that it made a file called test. I'm just going to delete that, and I'll come up one directory, and again now if I try and go into the directory ARS321, it'll tell me permission denied. So users can only go into the directories that they own. Okay, and so the advantages of using these research directories is these are local. These will be a whole lot faster for you than if you're traveling across the network and writing into network directories. The advantage for other users is if you're not traversing the network and writing into the network directories, you're allowing the network directories to be doing other things that the network directories need them to do without as much drain on the resources. So I encourage you to, whenever you can, use these research directories. Now, as a matter of interest, if you type df-h and then the pipe sign and then grep, and we're going to take a look at x00513. Okay, you'll see that the directory x00513, I have a mounted directory that has about 5 gigabytes, but you'll see there one there that has the LV underscore and then the user ID, and then it has the path to the research directory. Mine's 10 gigabytes. Typically that'll be like the smallest size that somebody using the researchers would have, or using the research directories would have. If I did the same thing for the other user, 321, you'll see that that directory is 30 gigs. So if for some reason that directory needs to be expanded and made larger, that's possible within reason. Now, you know, if it becomes burdensome in terms of the amount of resources that are being needed, we'll have to have a discussion. But that can be bumped up a little bit depending on the type of application that you're running and what you're doing. So anyways, that's a brief tour of how you can run MATLAB and a brief tour of the research directories. So I hope this was helpful, and thanks for listening.